Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Taylor the Fiend back again with a wild story for you here today. A bit of a sad one. So this is of a man who overhears his wife's plan to divorce him in a few years, obviously to try and take his things, his assets, his money. So what he does is he quietly moves his assets to his mother's name. Now, I've seen dudes try and do this before on a shorter time frame, and I think it can actually screw you over. If you do it too close to the divorce date, what can end up happening is the court can rule that you didn't have genuine intention to give these things to your mother. So what ends up happening is they can revert it and screw you over. But this guy had a couple of years. He decided to move his assets to his mother's name, it seems. And it didn't work out so well for the wife, I would guess. So let's jump into this story. When a man accidentally overhears his wife talking about her plan to divorce him in a few years and take half of everything, he realizes he has time to act. Instead of reacting emotionally, he carefully restructures his finances, moving his most valuable assets into his mother's name. By the time his wife finally serves him the divorce papers, she finds that her expected financial windfall has actually disappeared. So usually the women, the reason why the women would do this, and they would wait a duration, by the way, is because they think that they can get more the more time has elapsed, which as far as I understand is true. The longer a woman is in a marriage, the more likely it is that the court is going to look favorably and try and take more resources and redistribute them to the woman. So that's probably why she tried to wait a couple of years. But let's see and jump into the story here. So Eric had been married to Lisa for nearly a decade. By all appearances, they had a comfortable life. He ran a successful small business, and she worked part-time while enjoying the benefits of his income. Their finances were stable, they owned a beautiful home, and Eric believed that they were planning for a shared future. So here's the deal. This guy, he's got a successful business, right? A successful small business, but still a successful one. And what's she doing? She's working part-time and then chilling for the rest of the time. Right? Because obviously this dude seems like he's paying the bills. He earns more money than her. So of course she gets the benefits of that, and she gets to assumedly chill at home, right? She gets to do the part-time work, not doing full-time work, not running her own business or studying or anything like this. She is essentially just enjoying the benefits of the fact that the dude earns more money than she does. Which, by the way, is pretty damn common in today's day and age. So the illusion shattered on a quiet Thursday evening. Eric had finished work earlier than expected and arrived home without Lisa noticing. As he stepped into the hallway, he heard her voice drifting from the living room. She was on the phone with her best friend, chatting in a tone that was far too casual for what she was saying. She said, "I just need to hold out a couple more years. Once we hit the 12-year mark, I'll have a stronger claim to his business. The house will be mine too. He has no prenup, so I'll walk away with half of everything. Easy." Holy hell, this is disgusting, man. This is people like to say, by the way, that this stuff doesn't happen. Now, I'm not sure how true this story is, right? I believe it was a Reddit story, so people can make this crap up. But this certainly happens a lot, guys, where you'll have a woman who will put on an act for a certain amount of time because she knows that eventually she can walk away with something. Now, it might not have been her intention the entire time, but I've certainly seen this happen a very uncomfortable amount of times, at least in my personal life as well, guys. I've seen this happen to dudes where women will stick around for X amount of time because they know it'll help them get resources and assets. Absolutely crazy. Eric felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. He had never suspected Lisa was unhappy, let alone plotting to strip him of everything he had built. He stayed frozen listening. He has no idea the longer I wait, the more I'll get. That was the moment that Eric realized his marriage was not a partnership. It was a waiting game, and Lisa was playing the long con. So what does the dude do? Right? He's got a few years, or he's got some time before the woman decides to divorce his ass and try and take his things. So what does the man do? And just by the way, it's very lucky that the dude actually discovered this, right? Because there are a lot of men who are just completely blindsided, okay? They're in some very long-term marriage or a very long-term relationship where common law exists, right? They're maybe in a state where common law just screws over dudes left, right, and center. And so they think, you know, they think everything's going to be fine. They've been together for many years. There's no reason why the relationship would end. And then they get hit with something like this. So let's see what the the dude decides to do. Unlike men blindsided by sudden divorce papers, Eric had time. If Lisa was willing to wait a few years to maximize her financial gain, he could use that same time to protect himself, he says. Storming into the living room and confronting her would be satisfying, but also a mistake. If Lisa knew he was aware of the plan, she might rush the divorce while still having access to his assets. Instead, Eric needed a plan, one that would ensure that she didn't get her hands on what he had built. So just by the way, during this as well, guys, I don't know why. I'm not sure if this dude did this in this particular instance, but if you're a dude, please do not. This is my recommendation, okay? You don't have to listen to me if you don't want to, whatever. But here's my suggestion. Do not give access of your finances to anybody else aside from yourself, right? Seeking like a financial advisor or whatever the hell, that's one thing, sure. But, you know, you've got a significant other, you've got, you know, just anyone else. I don't understand these men who just put their financial health in somebody else's hands. It's crazy to me, man. Absolutely crazy. That night, he started researching asset protection strategies. He learned that many men get caught off guard by how aggressively courts divide assets in divorce cases. Wow, what a surprise. That's what we talk about here on this channel a lot of the time, guys. Men actively losing everything that they've spent a very long time working for. The laws were not in his favor. If he didn't act carefully, Lisa could take half of his business, house, and savings. Within a few weeks, Eric met with a lawyer specializing in financial restructuring and asset transfers. His main question, how can I protect my wealth without raising suspicion? The answer, move assets strategically and do it early. Yeah, so this is what I was saying, by the way, guys, where if you're a dude and you know, you can't, as far as I understand it, you can't just do this crap a week before you get divorced, okay? Because the courts are going to know this was a very deliberate thing done so that you could avoid having to pay the woman your assets or your things, which, by the way, shouldn't be done anyway. But courts will recognize that this was clearly a strategy and they will screw you over regardless, okay? So doing it early is very important. Doing it a few years in advance, also very important. So what does he do? He transfers his assets to his mother. Eric had one major advantage. His mother was still alive and in good health. Over the next few months, he began legally transferring ownership of his most valuable assets into her name. So he transferred, what did he transfer? The house, the business, investment accounts, vehicles, and valuables. So instead of selling the house outright, which would alert the woman, he refinanced the home and quietly transferred ownership to his mother through a family trust. Since Lisa's name was never on the deed, she had no claim to it. Eric restructured his company, reducing his direct ownership to a minority stake while making his mother the primary shareholder. So on paper, he was merely an employee. He moved a significant portion of his liquid assets into accounts under his mother's control, ensuring that Lisa couldn't touch them in a divorce settlement. Titles for high-value assets like his car and expensive collectibles were transferred under his mother's name or sold off discreetly. So check this out, by the way. This dude has, like, collectibles. I don't know what he means by collectibles. But it's just crazy to me how dudes will literally have collectibles that are obviously probably of no interest to their significant other, no interest to the wife, and yet the court will still try and sell these things off or divvy them up. It's crazy to me, man. To make the transfers look natural, Eric spread them out over 2 years, long before Lisa planned to file for divorce. While he slowly moved his assets, Eric continued to play the role of the devoted husband. He acted as if nothing had changed, keeping up the same routines. If Lisa suspected anything, she gave no sign. The hardest part was pretending to love someone he now knew was only pretending to love him back. Every dinner conversation, every anniversary celebration felt like a charade, but Eric was determined not to let his emotions get in the way of his strategy. As Lisa's timeline stretched forward, Eric was careful not to make any big, flashy financial moves. Smart idea. He still let her handle the household expenses as usual. He even indulged her when she just suggested expensive vacations, knowing full well she thought she was spending what would one day be her money. See, the thing is, guys, I still wouldn't let, like, why would you take this woman on vacations? You know what I mean? Like, hell no. You don't need to do all that to sell what's going on here. Like, it's crazy how much these men can stomach, guys. I don't think I could stomach, you know, if someone betrays you like this. I don't want to be talking to them anymore. I don't want to be taking them anywhere. It's just absolutely not happening, man. So Eric also took extra precautions. He set up a separate bank account in another state, one that Lisa had no knowledge of. He gradually funneled money into it, ensuring he would have a financial safety net if needed. Smart man. By the time Lisa finally decided the moment was right to serve Eric with divorce papers, she was confident that she would be walking away with millions. She sat down with a lawyer, fully expecting to receive half the house, half of the business, and a generous alimony package. But when her lawyer started looking to Eric's financials, the reality was much different. So the house ended up not being in his name. The business, he owns less than 10% of it. And the savings accounts, she has no idea where they are. That's excellent. That is absolutely excellent. So Lisa became not very confident anymore. Everything she had counted on was gone, legally out of reach. She had spent years playing a game that she thought that she had already won, only to find out that Eric had been quietly making his own moves. She tried to argue that the asset transfers were fraudulent, but because Eric had done everything years in advance and in full compliance with legal guidelines, the court ruled that his assets were not part of the marital estate. This is fantastic, guys. This is a great win for this dude, by the way. Absolutely a good move to do. It's just sad that it even needs to be done in the first place. I think it's very, very sad that men actually have to go through all of these precautions and do these sorts of things when, you know, women should not be receiving anything that they didn't earn when the marriage ends. You know what I mean? This guy spends years building up the business, right? He spends years making it successful, and then the woman just gets to walk away with half because she married him. I don't think that should be the case at all. And people will oftentimes say, oh, what about all of the unpaid labor that the woman is doing? Number one, she's mooching off of him. So like the dude is obviously providing for the woman. So technically she's still, despite how stupid the question is, let's answer that for a second, okay? What about the unpaid labor? Number one, she's essentially getting paid anyway because the dude is taking care of her. She's only working part-time. But number two, she shouldn't be getting paid whatsoever. Men should get paid for providing for the women in that case. What about all the things that men do? What about fixing the car? What about fixing anything that breaks? You know, any scary animal, any break-in the man resolves? Are we getting compensated for any of these things? Right? Are we getting compensated for taking her out and paying for the dinner bills? Nope, didn't think so. Right? And yet we have these women walking around saying that they deserve some sort of compensation for their domestic unpaid labor. Shut the hell up. So there's that. I can't even remember what the second thing I was going to say was, man. It's just so ridiculous to me that women think that they can just walk away with half of a dude's things simply because they were there. I think it's disgusting. And a lot of them, this is the other thing I was going to say, actually. A lot of the women, they get in their head the idea that, oh, I help him build his business. I'm the only reason he was successful. Completely untrue. I guarantee you that these men would probably be more successful if they didn't have a wife. I hear a lot of crap like that on the internet, guys, where women will be like, yeah, I'm the reason he's successful. But truthfully, the man is actually succeeding in spite of the woman who is mooching off his assets and chilling at home half the time. So Lisa walked away with little more than her own personal savings and the minimal spousal support dictated by the state. She shouldn't even get this spousal support. Disgusting. Eric, on the other hand, emerged from the divorce financially intact. Fantastic. I think that's a great story, guys. I think, you know, given some of these stupid stories that we've read recently, I think that's a good one. The dude got away relatively unscathed because, you know, but he got kind of lucky, to be honest, putting everything in his mother's name this early on. But guys, we're going to be leaving it there. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one. Peace.